Imagine this, folks. Not the made-up tale of Robinson Crusoe washing up on some balmy tropical paradise with swaying palms, ripe bananas, and a gentle sea breeze. Nah, this is the real deal about a band of tough Russian sailors, Pomors from Archangelsk, who in 1743 got dumped into a frozen Hell's Cape. Not on a cozy island, but on a barren, wind-blasted rock in the Arctic Ocean. We're talking the Svalbard archipelago, specifically Edgeøya, an uninhabited chunk of stone, ice, and snow where summers meant endless rain and winters dragged on with polar nights that lasted months, temps plunging below -30. No trees, no people, just pure, hardcore survival. And that's where fate stranded four hardy souls. Aleksey Khimkov, his kin Ivan Khimkov, or close enough, surnames ran in the family, Fedor Verigin, and the fourth guy, Stepan Sharapov. The old tales don't name him straight out, but that's the one from the Pomor legends. They didn't just scrape by for over 6 years. They turned into Arctic legends, Russia's own castaways in an icy nightmare. Let me take you back step by step. Summer of 1743, the ship St. Peter, a sturdy Pomor vessel with a crew of 14 burly guys, set sail for the hunt, chasing walruses, seals, maybe even polar bears. Svalbard was a gold mine for Russian hunters back then. But the ocean had other plans. The ship froze into the ice pack just off Edgeøya. Ice floes clamped down like a vice, the hull groaning and cracking. The captain panicked. Boys were trapped. But Aleksey Khimkov, the most seasoned of the bunch, remembered something. A few years earlier, his countrymen had wintered right here. They'd hauled in lumber, built a cabin, hunted, survived the season, and sailed home. That cabin might still be standing, he said. Let's go check it out. Better than freezing our asses off on the deck. So for brave hearts, Aleksey, Ivan, Fedor, and Stepan gathered up their gear. Rifles with just 12 rounds, an axe, a small pot, 9 kilos of flour, a brazier, flint, a knife, and a pinch of tobacco. They crossed the ice to the island. Risky as hell, one wrong step and they plunged through a crack. But they made it. And sure enough, there it was. The cabin. Old but solid, log walls, a stove inside. The guys lit up like kids on Christmas. Hot damn. We won't die out in the snow. They scraped together some fuel, spent the night shivering but safe. Come morning, they hustled back to the shore to tell the rest. Pack up the supplies, boys. We'll hole up here till the ice breaks. They stepped out onto the beach and froze in their tracks. The ship was gone. No ice, just open sea, waves lapping clean. Overnight, a gale had whipped up, howling like a banshee, and either smashed the vessel on the rocks or carried the whole ice chunk and their 10 shipmates out to sea. The captain, the crew, poof, vanished forever. No one ever saw them again. The four stood there on the gravel, wind whipping their faces, one thought pounding in their skulls. We're alone, in this godforsaken ice pit, with a sack of junk and zero shot at rescue. They trudged back to the cabin in total shock, sat there in silence. Aleksey snapped out of it first. No time for pity parties, lads. We survive. Their kit? Laughable. Rifles and 12 bullets, axe, pot, flour, flint. Those rounds weren't just for hunting. They were lifeline against polar bears. Those beasts ruled Svalbard. Thousands roamed, starving and mean. Even today, after centuries of hunters picking them off, 3,000 still prowl the place. Remember 2011? Right there on the archipelago, a bear tore into a British tent camp, ate one guy alive, mauled 3 others bad before they gunned it down. In 1743, bears were everywhere, and 12 shots was like bringing a slingshot to a grizzly convention. The cold? Another killer. The island was bald, no trees, no shrubs, nothing to burn in the stove. The cabin leaked like a sieve, wind whistling through gaps big enough to shove your arm in. The guys stuffed him with moss, plenty of that mushy green stuff blanketing the rocks. But warmth? The waves had washed up a jackpot on the beach. Splintered shipwrecks, boards, timbers, even whole uprooted trees from God knows where. Gather it all, Aleksey barked. Ration it like it's gold. They fed the stove in tiny bites, just enough to keep the chill from turning their bones to ice. Hunting turned into a saga. At first, they bagged reindeer. Plenty grazed the tundra. Dropped a few, bellies full for a spell. But ammo ran dry fast, 12 pops, done. Starvation crept in. "What now?" they muttered. Then luck struck. Ivan spotted a plank on the shore, nails hammered in, with a fat iron hook. "Look at this," he hollered. "We'll forge spears." Rogatina, ancient Slavic heavy spears for close-quarters brawls or big game takedowns. They hammered out tips from that scrap iron, lashed them to poles. Now they could stab beasts up close. Dangerous? You bet, but options were zilch. The bears came calling quick. Nosy, growling outside the door, trying to bust in. 9 attacks in all, the guys fought back as a team. One distracts, the others thrust. They killed 10 in total. Just the first one they ambushed outright. The rest were desperate defenses. Bear tendons, tough as steel wire, became bowstrings, stitched clothes, bound gear. From bones and bits of metal, they crafted arrowheads. For small ones, polished sharp, tied tight with sinew cords. That arsenal kept M fed for 6 years. Bears, reindeer, Arctic foxes. Meat went down half raw. Wood was the real treasure, scarcer than salt, bread, or grain. No frills, just protein and fat. And scurvy? The polar plague. Ivan knew the score. Boys, no vitamins and were goners, like flies. He pushed them to guzzle warm reindeer blood straight from the kill and chew spoonwort. That sour grass, cochlearia, sprouting everywhere. Packed with vitamin C, though back then they just knew it worked from hard knocks. They all chomped it, except Fedor Verigin. "Ugh, that's nasty," he'd gripe. "Can't stomach the blood or that weed." Revulsion won out, and it sealed his doom. Life was straight torment. Winters, pitch-black polar night, round-the-clock dark, snow burying the cabin to the roof. They'd claw out the chimney to escape. Cold seeped into your marrow, wind wailed like ghosts. Summers? Relentless rain. Fog you could cut with a knife. Mosquitoes swarming like dive bombers. Homesickness hit hard. Aleksey ached worst. Left a wife and 3 kids in Archangelsk. How are they holding up? He'd wonder in the dead of night. Do they even think I'm alive? The one bright spot. The northern lights. Sky dancing with greens, purples, like some cosmic light show. "Check it out, fellas," Stepan would say. "The big man's not forgotten us." Picture their evenings by the stove, swapping yarns to keep sane. Aleksey spun tales of white sea voyages, waves towering over the masts like in those old pirate flicks. Ivan yapped about his granddad spotting a sea serpent off Novaya Zemlya. Think Loch Ness on steroids. Fedor reminisced on village hoedowns, accordions wailing, homemade hooch flowing. Stepan whittled bone carvings, bears, reindeer, to fight the madness of isolation. And one polar night, they caught this eerie rumble. Maybe cracking ice, or maybe ancestor spirits whispering, "Hang tough, boys. That's my spin." But in that kind of lockdown, your mind plays tricks like a bad acid trip. The 6th year dragged on. Fedor Verigin crashed from scurvy. Gums bled, body wasted away, pain like fire in his veins. "Shoulda eaten the damn grass," Ivan muttered. They spoon-fed him like a babe, but that winter of 1748, he croaked. The guys hacked a grave in the permafrost with the axe. It crushed him. We're next in this frozen grave? But they gutted it out. The island was huge, 5,000 square kilometers, teeming with critters. They stockpiled hides, 200 reindeer, 200 fox pelts, bear rugs, a fortune if they could fence them. Then, summer 1749, miracle time, a ship on the horizon, Russian, merchant class out of Archangelsk. Wind nudged it straight to Edgeøya, 1 in a million fluke. The guys torched every scrap of wood for signal fires, waved hides like flags, bellowed, "Over here!" The crew spotted him. The helmsman swung course, docked despite the lurking reefs. Captain gawked, "Who the hell are you?" "St. Peter's survivors, stuck 6 years." Joy exploded, tears streaming. They loaded up, 800 kilos of reindeer fat, the hides. Promised the skipper 80 rubles to haul him and the loot home. September 28, 1749, they docked in Archangelsk. Crowd jammed the pier. Aleksey's wife clocked her man. Thought him dead years back. Leapt into the drink. Nearly drowned, barely fished out. They clutched each other, sobbing. Word spread. Professors from the Russian Academy of Sciences got hooked. A commission grilled them on every detail. Later expeditions verified it all. The cabins stood, ghosts of their saga etched in the logs. That's the yarn, y'all. No tall tale, pure history. These fellas proved Russian grit tougher than permafrost. Survived where most would have cracked in a month. Smarts, teamwork, dumb luck. That's what pulled them through. Kinda like those Alaskan sourdoughs or frontier pioneers pushing west. Huh? Facing blizzards and beasts with nothing but balls and brains. If they'd stumbled on a Viking horde in a cave, gold coins glinting, well, that'd be the cherry. But the real gold was their unbreakable will. This is the end of the story. Subscribe, friends, like it, and wait for new exciting stories.